The 1031 exchange is a powerful strategy. Here's what most real estate investors don't realize about capital gains. You might be sending hundreds of thousands of dollars to the IRS that could be working for you instead. What if I told you that Manhattan's savviest investors almost never pay capital gains taxes when they sell their investment properties? In this video, we're going to break down the powerful 1031 exchange strategy that allows you to sell one investment property and buy another while deferring your capital gains tax completely. As someone who's helped facilitate luxury property exchanges right here in Manhattan, where property values are exceptionally high, I'll show you exactly how this works and the critical timelines you need to follow. Here's what we'll cover: the exact requirements you need to meet for a successful 1031 exchange, the critical timelines that could make or break your exchange, common mistakes that could cost you everything, and how to identify strong replacement properties in Manhattan's market. And most importantly, I'll show you why timing is absolutely crucial. Miss these deadlines by even one day and you'll be stuck with a massive tax bill. Let's start with the fundamentals about how 1031 exchanges actually work. The concept is actually relatively straightforward, but the execution requires careful attention to detail. You'll essentially be swapping one investment property for another while deferring capital gains taxes. But here's what makes this strategy so powerful in Manhattan's luxury market. When property values are this high, the tax savings can be substantial enough to significantly accelerate your portfolio's growth. Think about it this way. Let's say you're selling an investment property for $5 million with a $2 million gain. At current capital gains rates, you could be looking at paying hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes. With a 1031 exchange, that money stays in your investment portfolio instead of going to the IRS. Now, here's the first critical requirement that trips up many investors. This only works for investment properties. We've seen clients make the mistakes of trying to use this for primary residence or vacation homes, but the IRS is very clear on this. The properties must be held for investment or business purposes only. If you're living in the property or using the property as a vacation home, it does not qualify. The second key requirement is the like-kind rule. Here's where we see a lot of confusion. Many investors think like-kind means you have to exchange an apartment for another apartment or a retail space for another retail space, but that's not the case. In real estate, like-kind is interpreted pretty broadly. You can exchange any type of real estate investment for another type of real estate investment. An apartment building for a retail space, a single family for a multi-unit, or even raw land for development purposes. Now let's talk about what I consider the most crucial part of the 1031 exchange, the timelines. This is where having an experienced team becomes vital because these deadlines are strict and there are no extensions. Here's what you need to know. You have 45 days from the sale of your property to identify potential replacement properties. You must close on that new property within 180 days of selling your original property. These deadlines run concurrently, not consecutively. Missing either deadline by even one day invalidates the entire exchange. Let me share a quick story that illustrates why timelines are so important. Last year, we had a client who was selling a luxury property on the Upper West Side that they wanted to do a 1031 exchange with. They waited too long to start seriously looking for replacement properties. We had very little time left on their identification period, which forced them to rush the due diligence and ended up identifying properties that weren't ideal for their portfolio. Don't put yourself in this position. Start looking early. If you're thinking about selling an investment property in Manhattan, we should talk early. We can connect you with our network of qualified intermediaries and help you identify strong replacement properties before you're under time pressure. Another crucial requirement is using a qualified intermediary. You cannot touch the proceeds from your sale. They must be held by a qualified intermediary throughout the exchange process. This is non-negotiable. If you receive the proceeds directly, even for a day, your exchange is invalidated and you'll owe all applicable taxes. Here's a pro tip that many investors miss. You can identify multiple potential replacement properties. The IRS allows you to identify up to 3 properties of any value or any number of properties as long as their total value doesn't exceed 200% of the property you sold. In Manhattan's competitive market, this flexibility is crucial. We always recommend identifying multiple properties because deals can fall through and you don't want to be scrambling at the last minute. Let's talk about value requirements. Your replacement property must be equal to or greater in value than the property you're selling. This is where we see another common mistake. Investors only looking at equity they're rolling over, but the rule applies to total value. One strategy we've seen work well in Manhattan's luxury market is trading from a single high-end property to multiple properties. For example, exchanging a luxury apartment in Manhattan for several high-end properties in a strong rental market. This can help diversify your portfolio while maintaining the tax benefits of a 1031 exchange. The 1031 exchange is a powerful wealth building tool available to real estate investors, but it requires careful planning and precise execution. The potential tax savings in Manhattan's luxury market can be substantial enough to significantly accelerate your portfolio growth, but the timelines are strict and the requirements are non-negotiable. Remember, the key to a successful exchange is starting your planning early and having the right team in place.